Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
And I'm Aiara.
and welcome to the Cast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, free Palestine, and do everything you can to support Palestine. Uh, what media have you been interacting with lately?
I've been rereading the Hat Atelier manga to prepare for the anime, which we'll get to later. I've been playing a lot of Bayonetta lately. Been trying to get through the first game so I can play the second, so I can play the third. It's been actually kind of a slag. I really like Bayonetta, but the combat has like moments where it sucks so bad because they don't explain it to you fully. Like there's things you need to know to be good at it, but they don't explain them in a way that lets you like practice or even really know how to do these things. Like I'm specifically talking about dodge offset. Dodge offset sucks. I'm coming out to say it now. What else? Yeah, that's really about it. I've been kind of absorbing the boys secondhand. I know things are getting crazy. I don't know what any of this craziness means really, but I just know that things are crazy right now. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool. So, yeah, I need to finish Bayonetta one of these days. I'm gonna have to just replay it from the beginning because I don't really remember how to play because I haven't played it in so long. Well, I'll get
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I would have just started too, but like I don't remember really the combat probably as well as I used to. So I'm like, I should practice. That would make sense.
Yeah. So, for me, I recently replayed Dishonored: Death of the Outsider, which was the expansion for Dishonored 2, or Expand Alone, as people call expansions that end up becoming a separate game and sold as a separate game, like Miles Morales, what is it, Uncharted, Lost Legacy, stuff like that. And yeah, it was good the first time I played it. So this time I was playing it the way I did, like my third time playing Dishonored 2, where I did New Game Plus and I did a non-lethal run. Oops, I'm getting a phone call. So, like I was saying, decided to replay Dishonored 2 because I saw some posts about the 8th anniversary of, Death of the Outsider. Because I saw something about the 8th anniversary of Dishonored 2, which like threw me for a loop. I was like, what do you mean that game came out 8 years ago? I played that game. I felt like I played that game for the first time yesterday. Nope. That game came out 2016, around my 16th birthday. It's crazy. Time is weird.
Yeah.
About to be 24. Stuff's
Good.
crazy.
Yeah. Getting old.
But yeah, it's fun. It's a good game. Dishonored is just great. I love me some immersive sims. We need way more. We need all of the immersive sims. Every game needs to be an immersive sim. Yeah, I just love Dishonored. Dishonored franchise is one of my favorite game franchises of all time. It's way up there. Hopefully they get to make a third one after Blade, and Xbox doesn't get rid of the rest of the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been getting back into Persona 3 now that I'm finished with Final Fantasy, and I just finished replaying Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. So I'm getting back into that. It's fun. I was grinding, trying to level up for the full moon, and just getting back into the routine of the game and the gameplay of the daily life. And that soundtrack's fire. I see why it was your favorite for so long.
It's fantastic.
I watched The Legend of Zorro not too long ago. I think it was last weekend, because it was about to be taken off Netflix. And I've been meaning to watch it because I'd watched The Mask of Zorro a while back. But yeah, Zorro movies are good. First one's better, but Legend of Zorro is still fun. Rewatched Godzilla -1 on Netflix, dubbed, because Johnny Young Bosch voices the main character, and Godzilla -1 is real good, and it's a real fun dubbed. If you prefer to watch stuff dubbed, even if it's live action. So yeah, it's just a great movie. Like I said, one of the very few films that make me cry in theaters specifically. Actually, I think it's the only movie that make me cry in theaters. I've cried watching movies before, but not in theaters. I was in there. It touched my soul. Godzilla -1 is really good. It might be one of my favorites now after seeing it twice at this point. It's
real.
I saw Ultraman Rising, but I'm gonna talk about that later. I've been waiting for this. I should have watched it a while ago, but I was just pushing it back. But I finally watched it last night. Scavenger's Reign. Started rewatching it. Haven't finished the rewatch. I'm like halfway through it, but it's on Netflix. And like I said, I wanted to watch it again just to give it that support. so we get more stuff like this. We know we just need more adult animation, just more animated stuff in general.
For real.
I'm rewatching Spectacular Spider-Man because the reaction YouTube channel I talk about all the time, Blind Wave, they started watching it, so I'm watching alongside them. Yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man, easily the best Spider-Man cartoon ever made. I'm gonna get around. I'm gonna watch the '90s series after I finish with X-Men. Speaking of which, I'm still watching that. I'm like halfway through the last season, which is only 10 episodes long. So one of these days, I'm just gonna sit down and like binge it, and then finally get the X-Men '97 and watch that all the way through. Yeah, the last episode of the Hashira training arc of Demon Slayer came out, and next season will likely be the last. It's called the Infinity Castle arc.
Oh wow!
And yeah, it's just gonna be a bunch of fights, a bunch of really good fights. I read the manga. I talked to you about it off the podcast about how that it ended. I thought 2 years ago. No, it ended 4 years ago, which is insane. I remember reading it while it was ending. It's insane that it ended 4 years ago.
No, for real.
But yeah, the anime's about to end soon. They either have one season or a season and a movie left. There's not that much left. Maybe they'll do like an extra OVA after the season or after a movie if they do one, based on how the final chapter goes. I feel like they could have that be its own little OVA, and that could be fun. But yeah. Kaiju number 8, season 1 also ended. And it's been renewed for season 2. And it's good. I like Kaiju number 8. The manga has been real lit lately as well. And a video game was announced.
Oh, wow.
Not too long ago. Not a lot of details about it are out just yet. But if I had to guess, if it's not a fighting game, it'll probably be like a Musuo. Or I forgot. I always have a hard time pronouncing this. Musou is how it's pronounced. I always mix up the O and the U. Like Dynasty Warriors, where it's just you're fighting a bunch of enemies. I feel like that makes sense for a Kaiju number 8 game. But there's nothing been confirmed. I'm just making assumptions. So moving on to animation, we got a trailer for Batman Caped Crusader. Did you manage to check that out?
I did, and it looks really good.
It does. It looks much better in motion than in the stills we've seen. At certain sections, the action did look weirdly slow, but hopefully that's not the case in the actual show. Yeah, the voice actor playing Batman sounds really good.
Really, really good.
Yeah, so we see Barbara Gordon in it as well, and she's an adult in this show. So Bruce Timm is back on his Bruce X Barber ship. Personally, I only found it weird in the animated series because she was his adopted son's ex and a close friend, his close friend's daughter, and that was weird. She's like, that's strange, Bruce. What are you doing? But when they're the same age, I'm like, it's whatever. They're the same age. It's not that weird.
Fine. Yeah.
I think some people just don't like the ship, just period. No matter if you make them the same age, but I don't care if they're the same age. But yeah, it's releasing August 1st on Amazon Prime because WB is stupid. This is ridiculous, but yeah, I'm not particularly excited for this, but I'm not excited. I was
going to say, yeah. It's idle excited.
I've had enough Batman cartoons in my life, but also I haven't watched the 2004 The Batman in a long time. I've never seen all of it, so I'm excited to watch that once I'm finished watching Blind Wave. Watch the animated series, and once I finish Batman Beyond, I'm gonna watch that. Well, actually, and I have to finish Brave and the Bold. Like there are more than enough Batman cartoons out. I don't really need a new Batman cartoon. I'm not craving a new Batman cartoon, so I'm not like particularly excited for this. But I hope it's good. There was a trailer released for Bleach yesterday. The next part of this final arc. And the trailer began by showing pretty much every instance of someone using Bankai that have happened in this arc so far. And then it ended with a character whose Bankai we've never seen saying Bankai. So that was real hype. Of course I read the manga. I know what his Bankai is. It's going to be dope.
Sounds dope.
Yeah, then everything after that was just new footage and of like what's happening this season. And it feels like this could be the last season based on what they're covering and what they showed in the trailer. But I feel like they make a much bigger deal of it if this was the very last season. So there's probably one season left after this. But yeah, I'm hyped. Bleach is my favorite anime and manga. And,
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's finally getting the respect it's always deserved. Like people like to debate the big three. The big three isn't a debate. It isn't a discussion because it's not about
Yeah.
the top three at any given moment. It is in reference to a specific time period of between like 2000 and 2012 where Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece were the undisputed most popular manga, putting up big numbers constantly for like a decade. It's about the big three is about an era. It's not about what's the big three at any given moment. Right. And Bleach was top three back then. And once it came back, it was like above stuff like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. So it's like, yeah, Bleach is still real popular. But yeah, this released in sometime in October.
Nice.
But yeah, talking about some stuff that was announced at the LA Anime Expo.
Yes.
We're gonna start with Witch Hat LA. We got a trailer for the anime adaptation, which we talked about a while back when I first started reading it. You mentioned that they were working on an anime, and Witch Hat Atelier is about a young girl named Coco who aspires to become a witch, but only innate magical users can practice and use magic. However, one day when she meets a male witch named, help me with this pronunciation. Is it Keyfree? Okay, Keyfree.
Keyfree, yep.
And after she witnesses how he uses magic by drawing magical runes and using magical ink, Coco accidentally casts a spell that turns her mother to stone. Since Coco doesn't know which spell she cast, Keyfree takes Coco as his apprentice in order to undo the spell and allow her to fulfill her dream. And I'm excited for this. The animation looks gorgeous.
It looks fantastic.
Do you know what studio's working on it?
Bug Films.
Okay.
I've never heard of them before in my entire life, but based on this trailer alone, I have faith. And also,
I think I've heard of it.
It sounds familiar, like vaguely, but I couldn't name any projects they worked on off top. But another cool thing is that the person who did the soundtrack for Elden Ring, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls is doing the soundtrack for this, which is really exciting.
It is very interesting. I knew it because the moment you said that, I was like, I think I know what they worked on because the animation style looked familiar, and my immediate thought was, I think this was a studio that worked on Your Name, and it is.
Makes sense.
That was my first thought, just based on what I remember of the trailer. I was like, that animation style just looks familiar.
I was going to say, no wonder the backgrounds are so gorgeous.
But yeah, I'm currently on volume 3, and I'm like, at this point, I've only purchased one of the volumes digitally. So I'm like, should I just start getting them physically? But then if I get 3, I can't just get 3. I got to go back and get 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Yeah. They're gorgeous volumes, though. Me personally, I'm a bad influence. I would say get them.
We'll have to get more bookshelves. But yeah, I'm excited.
Very excited.
Trigun Stargaze.
Yes.
Is the official name of the next part of the Trigun remake. It takes place 2 years after the events of Stampede, and Studio Orange says that it will have more of a similar feel to the original anime and manga, which is interesting, which I wouldn't have expected really that since they're moving into Maximum stuff. And there's some goofy stuff towards the beginning, but after the beginning, stuff gets real serious real fast.
Yeah.
We also got some art of these characters' designs by the original creator and artist, Yasuhiro Naitao. And it's cool to see these designs in their art style. I need to rewatch Stampede in English so I can hear Johnny Young Bosch's Vash again. It's been a while.
It's so good. So good.
I did see like a clip from like the beginning of the first episode when he's first introduced with Johnny Young Bosch's dub, and it was good. But yeah, I'm excited to watch it again. But yeah, not too many details. Just some art and a little bit of information. They teased that we're definitely gonna see Millie. So yeah, definitely excited for that. Whether or not this will be one season or multiple, we're not sure. But it'll probably be multiple because the Maximum story is so much longer than the original Trigun story. But I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to shove it all into one season. But
if we do get one season, I feel like it'll be like a Demon Slayer type situation where it's like we get one season in a movie, and I would not be mad at another Trigun movie because Badlands Rumble is questionable.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
You're not missing anything. It doesn't. There's no plot to it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's just silliness.
But speaking,
that's not to say that I don't enjoy it, but yeah.
But speaking of Studio Orange, we also got some info about Beastars Season 3 finally. A world of impending danger awaits Legoshi as the final chapter begins, Beastars' final season will be released in 2 parts, with part 1 coming this December on Netflix. Thank the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I was so afraid that they were going to cut a bunch of stuff out to fit everything into 1 season, but it being split into 2 gives me hope. We also got a poster that I'll show up on the screen alongside with the Trigun art I mentioned, and it looks it always looked good, but I'm excited for it to finally end, and because I've read the manga, I know what happens, but I want to watch it. And I haven't rewatched season 2, even though I saw this first season like 3 times. I watched like twice by myself, and then watched the 3rd time with a friend. I need to rewatch the 2nd season before the 3rd one comes out later this year. The manga itself, the ending was a bit rushed, so I wonder if they'll be able to do what a lot of anime tend to do sometimes, where the manga couldn't expand on things the anime does. It'd be interesting if they were able to do that. And lastly, from the LA Anime Expo, we have RWBY being bought by Viz Media.
Yes.
The publisher of Shonen Jump and distributor of so many anime. With the popularity of RWBY in Japan, this doesn't surprise me. They showed off a teaser image that I'll put up on screen for a potential season 10, but nothing has been confirmed. But we're definitely going to get season 10 at this rate. The showrunner and co-creator of RWBY, Kerry Shawcross, will be involved with the next phase of RWBY, as Viz puts it in their blog. But yeah, we're definitely getting season 10 and potentially, hopefully, a reboot. And hopefully, if they do that, I hope it's still 3D and they don't transition to 2D, because I think that the 3D animation is like core to the identity of the series.
That's what makes RWBY unique.
Yeah, and with anime, like we previously mentioned, Beastars and Trigun out right now, we know that 3D anime can look amazing. And, the longer RWBY went on, the better it looks. So I can only imagine with Viz backing them and potentially them, there's a lot of stuff going on with Rooster Teeth, especially since they were owned by WB, and WB sucks now. Now that they'll be working under a company who works in like comic books and animation specifically, they'll probably be able to do so much more in terms of animation and probably make this potentially final season look incredible. So I'm really excited to see where RWBY goes from here, because I love RWBY. I had a little hate narc where I let the internet cloud my judgment of the show. But around the time early on in this podcast history when I realized that I let people's opinions of stuff influence mine too much when it came to like Bleach, is when I completely destroyed that part of myself. And I just love RWBY. RWBY's great. I don't let the haters win. There are things I don't like, and I'll always talk about that. But like I said, I have a rule. If you haven't seen a thing, I won't talk bad about it until you've seen it, and then I'll actually have a conversation with you about the criticisms that I have about it. And even then, I like to start conversations with what I like about a thing, and then get into the criticism. I like to keep things as positive as possible, and not just hate on things to hate. But speaking of hate, my emergency no, I'm joking. But I hate to say it, but episode 7 endeared me to this version of Livewire. I feel like that Simpsons meme. Say the line, Bart. Look, okay. I know I've been a notorious hater of this interpretation of Livewire, because they stripped her of everything that made her interesting and could have made her a great foil to Lois, Clark, and Jimmy, with her being in the where she was introduced Superman the Anime Series. She was a radio host who talked about fake news and got people outraged, stuff like that, which is very prevalent in today's society and could have been very interesting. And I'm still upset that they didn't do that. But this episode humanizes her by having her sympathize with some relationship problems that Lois and Clark are going through due to her relationship with Heatwave, who still upset that they made Heatwave a Superman villain when Heatwave is like one of the Flash's most famous villains. It's like if they randomly decided that Mr. Freeze should be a Superman villain. People would be like, what? That's what? That's weird, right? So why would you make Heatwave a Superman villain? It's strange. They make some strange decisions with the villains. But I tell you, a villain they don't make strange decisions with Brainiac, because in episode 8, that man was evil. He was making Clark go through it. So unfortunately, they're doing exactly as I predicted and making the more popular villains perfect, but making changes to the smaller villains to the point where they're practically new characters. But I digress. Again, got to get that hater out my soul. Sometimes it just comes out, even when I'm talking about stuff that I like.
I get it.
But your Brainiac, this last episode was so good. Let me make that very clear, because I did the thing. I started hating. But with my adventure Superman, it just happens because Superman is just in a weird place right now, but he's getting better, and this show is a big part of that. And Brainiac, this episode was just great. Brainiac being easily the best villain in the show so far, and he uses a device that's named after a flower that we used in one of Superman's most famous comics called "For the Man Who Had Everything," written by Alan Moore, which was used to mind control him by what's his name, Mongol. And Brainiac also uses it to mind control him. And meanwhile, Kara flies into Jimmy and Lois as they go after Clark in a spaceship that they stole with the help of Livewire. And Kara and Jimmy's relationship is very cute, and I'm excited to see where Kara goes from here, as she learns that she's been manipulated by Brainiac into committing heinous crimes in the name of the Kryptonian Empire, which this interpretation of the destruction of Krypton by Brainiac is very interesting, and I'm excited to see when they do the flashback of the actual destruction itself, which they haven't done yet. Yeah, it's really fun. Very like I said before, like Invincible vibes with essentially Brainiac using Supergirl as like essentially like the Saiyans,
right?
in Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, it's very fun so far.
Sounds like fun.
It's specifically Livewire though. It's no other character brings the hate out of me like Livewire does. Like I don't talk trash about any other thing in this show except Livewire. Everything else is great except Livewire. Because to me, it's just such a gigantic missed opportunity. In this episode, episode 7, they have her essentially her whole thing in this show now is that she's a thief. And it's like, why? You could have done the whole thief thing with so many characters, so many other characters. You could have made them the thief. There's like, come on, Superman is the premier superhero. The one of the most famous things that supervillains do in comic books is rob banks. You think there isn't another Superman character they could have used to be the I rob people's character other than Livewire?
Right.
That's why I get so heated about it, and why, despite how much I love the show and everything else about the show, I start to like talk trash about Livewire because it's such a missed opportunity for a character that is so interesting, especially in today's society, that they decided to dilute so much that it just gets me upset. So the last thing for animation, I'm going to talk about Ultraman Rising.
Yeah.
So Ultraman Rising is incredible. It is so good. It's so good. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful. It has that classic, say it with me now, 3D models with 2D textures and effects made famous by Spider-Verse. It looks real pretty. The art style is fantastic. The story follows Kenji Sato, famous baseball player, and the new Ultraman after the original Ultraman, his father, was injured in battle. To defend Japan from kaiju in his dad's place, he's forced to move back to Japan and leave his promising pro baseball career in America to join a team in Japan. He's brash and arrogant, causing problems to both Ultraman and a baseball player. But after he mistakenly adopts a baby kaiju after his mother dies, he learns how to be a team player. It's real good.
Sounds really sweet.
So the animation is gorgeous. I've always wanted to get into Ultraman because my favorite Benton alien is Way Big, who is a direct reference to him. And while the credits was rolling, I was just looking up some stuff about Ultraman. Ultraman is basically to Japan what Superman is to America. He's like, like there are just as much references in Japanese media to him like there is to Superman in American stuff. Ultraman is basically their Superman. And I wonder if there's ever been an Ultraman Superman crossover, because that would be really fun.
I think there has. I feel like I've seen at least something like that.
Because Ultraman, everything about Ultraman is just like right up my alley. I know there's a Shin Ultraman movie, and I'm gonna have to check that out next. But yeah, this is on Netflix, Ultraman Rising.
It is.
It's really funny. Animation is so good. It's just, I like kaijus as well. So just having this
Real.
character who's his whole thing is that he turns into a giant and fights kaiju. It's crazy that they haven't done that with Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I feel like you could very easily make a really good Ant-Man cartoon that's where he's basically Ultraman and he's always fighting. You know, he turns into Giant Man and fights kaiju and like shrinks down and fights stuff all the time. You could make a really cool like Ant-Man and a Wasp show like that. Missed opportunity, Marvel. Actually, in the Ultimate comics, in the current like Ultimates, which is that universe's version of the Avengers, his design, him and the Wasp design are actually very much inspired by like Tokusatsu, Ultraman, and like Power Rangers and all that stuff. They look really cool. If you look up, the Ultimates, Ant-Man and Wasp, right? Nope, that could end up with some stuff that I hate. If you look up the Ultimates 2024 Ant-Man and Wasp designs, because if you just look up Ultimates Ant-Man and Wasp, you're gonna find something that scarred me in the early 2000s when I was reading comic books, because the original Ultimates comics is some of the worst shit ever put to pages.
Oh yeah, these are definitely very, it's giving Power Rangers. I like it. I like these designs a lot.
Oh, for sure.
I have a quick thing for animation before we move on, though. Go ahead. Yeah. So Nier Automata's second course premiered on Thursday of last week, and I won't say anything because of spoilers, but this while the first season did kind of start off on a shaky start, this second course came out swinging. Like, I don't think that I've ever seen a better first episode of a second season in my entire life, and I'd say that with full confidence. Like, the animation was great as usual. The story was great. The way that they're like slightly modifying Automata's canon in a way that like fans that recognize, like, have played the game the whole way through, all like 5 endings, will recognize like these key moments, but then also newcomers to the series can watch it and understand what's going on. It's great. The new opening is great. The new ending is great, and I'm really excited for to be sad on Fridays again.
Yeah, it's great. You know, I gotta play the game first before I check this out.
You really do.
I got so many other stuff to play. I got.
It's a good game, though.
I'll get around to it. I just want to. I want to have like a block where I have time to just devote time to it.
I get it.
I'll get around to it eventually. Moving on to comics. I went and picked up 2 comics from the local comic shop. Hell of Windhorn #3. Helen travels to fantastical lands with her grandfather and discovers that the fantasy novels her father wrote were based on real events. It was an excellent chapter, and now I have to wait until August for issue 4 because it was delayed. Also, my goddamn Spider-Man and Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate Spider-Man comics got delayed, and people were spoiling Ultimate Spider-Man all up and down the timeline, and I still got my goddamn comic book. So I gotta wait for that. I don't know when that's coming. But I also picked up Transformers Volume 1 in the new Energon universe. I read the first chapter for free on Kindle, and then I bought the second one. Then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this one physically, and I'm gonna wait for a volume. So I got the volume, has the first 6 issues, and it was good. I like it. I like Transformers. Transformers are fun. And this comic has been real good. I think, was it Daniel Warren? What's his last name? Johnson? Let me look it up. Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson, amazing comic book artist and writer, is writing and drawing on this. And he did a Dual Power Bomb, which is a wrestling comic I talked about a while back. And his art is just so good. It's incredible. You look up Daniel Warren Johnson and his art, it's incredible. Like, he's really good. He's one of the best out here. And yeah, it's this Transformers comic has been great so far. Moving on to DC. Action Comics number 1065. House of Brainiac Part 3. Superman and Lobo have their hands full with Brainiac's Zarnian army, so it's up to Supergirl and Connor Kent to stop Brainiac himself. It's an impossible battle, but they are joined by some unexpected and deadly allies. It's weird that, because I copy and pasted this straight from the DC Universe website, it's weird that they said to Supergirl and Connor Kent instead of to Supergirl and Superboy. That's so weird. Why'd they call him his full government name?
I was about to say.
But they called Kara Supergirl. There is no other Superboy right now because Superman's son is now also going by Superman. So there's no reason to, like, it's not like this is a Spider-Man situation. It's not like you said Spider-Man and Miles Morales. That's weird. But anyway, Superman number 14, House of Brainiac Part 4. The partnership was shaky at best, but now it's exploded. Lobo has betrayed Superman, and even if they stop punching each other long enough to save the day, it's too late. Brainiac has what he needs, and the Brainiac Queen, is alive. He just wanted a girl the whole time. Nah, but Power Girl number 9, House of Brainiac tie-in. With the Zarnian seizing control of Power Girl's Metropolis neighborhood, Crush, Lobo's daughter, offers herself up as a diplomat to reason with her unreasonable relatives, but these aliens are as corrupt as they are crude and decide that they'll add Crush to their growing numbers of hostages. Can Power Girl save the day solo, or will she fall prey to these intergalactic bikers? Last but certainly not least, The Flash, 2025 annual and Flash issue number 9. As the Speed Force glitching causes more chaos around the world, another rogue is gifted with a mysterious power set upgrade, while Linda, Wally's wife, seeks out the source of the mysterious voices she's been hearing, and Barry reaches a breaking point. Yeah, I love Flash. Flash is great. This run so far has been interesting. They're going very deep into like sci-fi stuff with the Speed Force, and having it like exploring it a lot in a very weird way that it's hard to explain. This comic, you just have to read it to believe it. It's very strange. Moving on to TV and film, I sent you a trailer for a movie called Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person.
You did. I watched it, and I'm really excited.
So, young vampire Sasha has a serious problem. She can't kill. Her exasperated parents cut off her blood supply, putting her life in jeopardy. Sasha meets Paul, a lonely teen with suicidal tendencies, who is willing to give his life for hers. And they begin a nocturnal quest to fulfill Paul's last wishes. The title caught my eye instantly. I was like, what? And then I watched the trailer, and it looks very interesting. It's a foreign film. I think, was it Russian or something? Or German? I can't remember. So? But it was some European country. And it looks cool. It looks fun. I'll check it out whenever it comes out. I don't remember the date, but it looks really cool. Speaking of vampires, I sent you a trailer for Nosferatu.
You did, but I've been seeing it all over the place anyway. Yeah. Also,
Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. The trailer looked good. I'm fascinated with classic horror movies, but I haven't seen a lot of them. I've seen The Wolfman. I forgot when I watched that, but it was sometime when like Werewolf by Night was coming out. I was like, I want to watch a bunch of werewolf movies because I love werewolves. So I watched The Wolfman. I watched American Werewolf in London, and then I watched Werewolf by Night when that came out. I'm excited for this. It comes out on Christmas, weirdly enough.
I think that's really funny though.
Yeah. My only experience with Nosferatu is from the hash-slinging slasher episode of SpongeBob. And that scared me as a kid. Nosferatu looks very creepy all the time. Nosferatu is a very creepy looking character. But yeah, I'm trying to see whatever, because Robert Eggers, I'm trying to think whatever he writes, because I always confuse him with Edgar Wright. What does he work on? The Northman, that's a really good movie. The Lighthouse, that's what he's known for.
Yep.
Yeah, The Northman's also.
Which I've seen. It's a good movie.
He also made The Veach. But yeah, this is fun. I'm excited to check it.
Yeah.
I also sent you a trailer for a movie called Red One. So speaking of Christmas, after Santa Claus, played by J.K. Simmons,
interesting,
is kidnapped, the North Pole's head of security, played by The Rock, must team up with the world's most infamous bounty, played by Chris Evans, or bounty hunter, played by Chris Evans, in a globe-trotting, action-packed mission to save Christmas. It looks really fun. This looks like a really fun action movie. I'm excited for this. It looks cool. Sometimes you just need a dumb, fun action movie. Later today, I'll be watching The Fall Guy. I want to try watching it in the anticipation for this episode so we can talk about it, but we'll talk about it next episode. I wanted to see it in theaters, but by the time I was going to see it in theaters, it wasn't in theaters anymore because it didn't make $1 billion in one day. So they were like, we're going to take it out theaters instead of leaving it there so it can make more money because it's the summer and people are going to go see movies if you give them time. God damn it, I hate it so much. I think I sent you the trailer for Hellboy, The Crooked Man.
If you didn't, I've seen it. I've been seeing it around.
I and many people didn't even know this was happening. And for good reason. It doesn't look good. When will they learn that they should just continue Del Toro's movies through animation so that we can get Ron Perlman as Hellboy again? But just have it be animated. Hellboy, an animated Hellboy show, just in the art style of Mike Mignola would just be perfect. And Hellboy just needs an animated project. There's been some animated movies I haven't seen. Actually, no, that's not true. I haven't seen it in a long time. And I think there's like 2 of them. And like, yeah, Hellboy I think just would do so good in animation. We needed like a Hellboy animated show. It would be really good.
I agree.
I think they're working on one, but there were some rumors that they were using AI. And, and that's weird. So I don't know what's going on with that. But like, we just need a really good Hellboy cartoon. Preferably if it was the, like I said, be a continuation of Del Toro's universe with Ron Perlman. That would be cool. Lanterns has been greenlit for 8 episodes. This Green Lantern series that has been going through some turmoil behind the scenes, but now it's finally been greenlit for 8 episodes. The series will follow Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan as they are drawn into an Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. Chris Mundy of Ozark will serve as showrunner, with Damon Lindelof and comic book writer Tom King co-writing. I'm excited to hopefully get some good live-action Green Lantern content. It's great that they have comic book writers working on some of these projects, because they know these characters better than anyone, so they should be working on these projects.
Right.
So yeah, we need. I'm a little bit upset that it's Earth-based. Like, send them niggas in space.
Right.
But
boo.
But this is a good start. Just make a good, grounded Green Lantern thing that gets people in, and then go to space and do some weird stuff. Because we've talked about it before. It could be easily an entire franchise on its own, Green Lantern. So, I'm not excited unless they do something interesting with it. With the fact that for the most part, Green Lanterns are cops.
It
would be a lot more interesting if they were more like the Space Federation in Star Trek, where they just go out, explore, and help people. And like their whole thing is to explore and learn and find new things and to help people along the way, rather than we are police officers. We're cops. We're here to police you. I think that's weird.
Nobody wants to watch a TV show about space cops. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
Ooh, it's boring.
But speaking of live action, DC extended universe stuff, we got a bunch of on-set photos from Superman, and we're gonna start with Superman and Mr. Terrific. Those photos came out like a couple weeks ago, versus the newer ones that came out not too long ago. But in these videos, what the hell were they thinking? Revealing with that reveal image of Superman suits a few months ago, where it was like hidden in darkness and it was dirty. Whereas this one, it looks majestic in the light of the sun, where Superman belongs. And it's just bright blue. He's got the trunks. The cape is a good length. It's got the yellow symbol on the cape, which sometimes they don't do. And it looks good. When you see all the images of him from behind with the cape flowing behind him with that yellow Superman symbol, and the cape looks so good. And even though I don't like I think the extra lines on the suit are always unnecessary. It's Superman. Like, it's not like it needs to be armor or anything. He's Superman, so like adding all those extra lines and details is just unnecessary for me. Unless it's like seam lines in areas where it makes sense for there to be seam lines, I think extra lines are unnecessary. Even though I'm not a fan of the collar, I think that the collar looks so much better. They actually changed it. It's different. In the original image, it was more like a turtleneck, and in this one, it's kind of like split in the front and in the middle, and it looks so much better. And now I'm okay with the collar now. The collar looks fine in this design. But yeah, Superman costume, it looked good. But the Mr. Terrific costume looks like it is ripped straight out of the comic books. It is perfect. It is so good.
I guess you could say it's terrific.
You could. But yeah, I'm excited for more people to just learn about Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific is like a great character that I love so much. He shows up in several cartoons, and he's always great. I'm excited for people to see more of him. So last week we saw Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner and Isabella Merced's Hawkgirl, and I can't say or hear the word hawk the same ever again. Because of that stupid meme.
Stupid ass meme.
It's not even that funny, but it's everywhere.
It's really not.
And but yeah, so their costumes don't look nearly as good as Superman's and Mr. Terrific's or comic accurate. But there might be a story reason for that. They seem to be wearing uniforms with the logo of a notorious mind-controlling supervillain on it. So these likely won't be their main costumes in this universe, and maybe not even in this film. So yeah, these set photos have me super hyped, even more hyped than I already was. Hopefully we don't get any major spoilers from them. We did see somebody that was just covered in green screen, and that might be Metamorpho, because Metamorpho, the whole thing is that he's the elemental man, and like his body's like split into like different elements. He just looks weird. If you look up Metamorpho, you'll see why he's probably going to be. They should do it practically, and they can do it practically, and I hope they do. But based on the fact that there was a dude just standing there in CGI, they might not.
Oh, you could definitely do this with practical
because
effects, though. That's lame.
Yeah, because his skin just needs to be white, and you could do it where it depends. Sometimes the orange and like purple parts are just a shirt, but sometimes those are like actual parts of his body. Either way, you could do that practically and have it work and not be too difficult. And I hope they do. It'd be real fun. The dude playing him has played characters in DC stuff before, but always a villain because he's just a bald dude, so he has to be a villain. But now he's playing a superhero. He's playing Metamorpho, which is fun. Metamorpho is another character that's great. Nice. And it's one of those characters, like, if you read comics, you know who he is, you like him. He also shows up in a lot of the cartoons, so he's relatively popular, but the average, like, person doesn't know who Metamorpho is.
Right.
Moving on to video games. I randomly came across a trailer for a crossover between Arc and Power Rangers.
Interesting.
So you'll be able to use Power Rangers skins, the original 5 Mighty Morphin, well 6 including Green Ranger, and equip their Zords, which it looks really cool. It makes me want to play it. I want to play Arc just to play as a Power Ranger. It's very fun.
Yeah. Sick.
A while back there was a trailer for a remaster of the 2002 third-person shooter inspired by the 1982 sci-fi horror classic, The Thing. Hopefully this is leading up to that Among Us style Thing game that we've talked about before. Because this is random game to remake, but I think it's probably people with the rights holders of Among Us. Somebody probably went, of The Thing, going like, there's this game called Among Us that is very clearly taking inspiration from the movie that we own. We should probably make a game that takes inspiration from that game that takes inspiration from us.
Yeah.
To make a game. And they should. Because a Thing game that's like Among Us would be really fun.
Yeah.
Going into indies like always. I saw this trailer for a game called Morbid Metal. Morbid Metal is an action-packed roguelite in which players can shapeshift between 4 different characters in real time, all with unique active abilities and stylish attacks. Rapidly switch characters and combine abilities to slaughter enemies in stylish fashion. Progress through stunning, semi-procedurally generated levels, fighting through hordes of enemies and powerful bosses in various environmental biomes, ranging from desolate wastelands of the far future to the overgrown ruins of mankind. We don't get a lot of indie hack and slashes. We don't get a lot of hack and slashes, period. In general.
Period. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how this turns out. Like we could have a whole conversation about that, about how like Souls likes, people just see that as the pinnacle of action combat in games, and it's not.
It's really not.
Rolling and dodging and sometimes, depending on the game, parrying is not the pinnacle of action combat.
It's actually rather boring.
It is very boring. I don't like the vast majority of Souls likes. Elden Ring was the first one I got into and actually enjoyed. The only like Souls like adjacent games I've enjoyed are like Jedi Fallen Order, which is barely a Souls like, but it's very similar.
Right.
And like the God of War games, but they're still at the end of the day character action games. The God of War games, the last 2. So like, but they fall into the trap. God of War specifically, I've talked about it before, how to become a more mature game, they made their game more like a Souls-like, which is fun, but I would like old God of War back.
Yeah.
And like if Atreus becomes the main character, since he's younger and Spire, I would hope that his if he ever gets like a Miles Morales style solo game, that like it plays more like the old games where you can jump because you just can't jump in the new game. And like I feel like a good example of like why hack and slashes are still the pinnacle of action combat in games or Ninja Gaiden. Because if you think that a game being a hack and slash means that inherently it needs to be easy, you've never played Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
That first Ninja Gaiden game is not easy, but it is a hack and slash. It is stylish. It is flashy. It is fast paced. Yet it is still hard as balls. Like, it's not an easy game. So like,
no, for real,
you can still have your cake and eat it too. I hate that phrase, but still, Souls-likes are not the pinnacle of action combat. We need to go back to the tried and true Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, God of War, Bayonetta,
right?
Metal Gear Rising: Vengeance. We need that back. We need more of those.
I don't know, not Bayonetta's combat. I got some beef with Bayonetta's combat right now, but
have you played the third one?
I'm working on it.
Because we still haven't talked about the controversy.
We really haven't, and we should. I'm gonna get to it too.
Alienated half of their fan base.
I know.
Or the vast majority. Those are the people that made that game what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that and Gooners, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, there is some overlap, to be fair.
There is, lesbians goon too.
Yeah, exactly.
But Nivalis, another indie game. Welcome to Nivalis. Making it in this cyberpunk city isn't easy. The gangs want to harvest your organs. Hold on, I didn't read this. That's hilarious. I just copy and pasted it and then moved on with my day. I did not realize that this is how this started. The gangs want to harvest your organs. The corpse will find you for breathing. And the whole time, the ground under your feet is crumbling. This city could fall into the ocean tomorrow. So you better make your fortune today. Grow your business, manage restaurants and nightclubs, make friends and enemies, buy and decorate apartments, go fishing, and maybe even find love in Nivalis, the city that stretches from the ocean to the clouds. Nivalis is set to be available in spring 2025. Like I say, like every episode since all the summer game showcases started, a strong art direction will get me every time, even when it's a type of game that I'm not normally into. This is like a manager sim type game with a little bit of romance sim in it as well, and it looks cool. It's mostly because it's set in this cyberpunk, very much like Cyberpunk 2077 inspired world that just looks really cool that you can actually walk around and explore, and that's dope. On top of all the management sim stuff. And it just looks interesting.
As a management sim enjoyer, I've never been more excited for a game in my entire life.
Yeah, it just looks real good. Great art direction. Now this one is one of, I'm so excited for this game. And I hope it's as good as it looks. Alkahest is a new first-person fantasy action RPG from developer Push On, that bills itself as a spiritual successor to Dark Messiah, Might and Magic, which is one of the earliest games made by Arcane Studio, the studio that makes Dishonored,
right,
and Kingdom Come Deliverance as its influences. Also, I'm skipping. They also said Dishonored as one of their influences. In it, you'll engage in close quarters combat, explore realistic medieval locations, learn alchemy, and more. This game looks so damn good, because I remember a while, I forget when I discovered it. I think No Clip does a lot of like documentaries on games and stuff. They're the people that did that Hades documentary, which I hope they do one for the second game. That'd be really fun.
That would be.
And yeah, they did one. I don't remember if it was on Arcane or if it was on another game and Arcane was like brought up in it. It might have been one that they did for the Doom reboot. And I think at one point Arcane was working on a Doom game. I might be mistaken. And you know what? I think I'm wrong. And it might have been Half-Life and Arcane. A lot of people that worked at Arcane before it became Arcane was working on a Half-Life game. Is what I think it was. Oh
wow!
I think they were working on a Half-Life game, and then that just never happened. And then they eventually went on to make other games, and they made Messiah of Might and Magic, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, which is a cool game that I want to play eventually. And this looks like straight up, like they said, a spiritual successor to that. And it's an immersive sim. It looks. I need to watch the trailer again. It looks so good. At first I thought it was a VR game, and that made me sad. But then it's not. If they do make a VR version, it would be cool. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. Like I said, we need more immersive sims. All of the immersive sims.
We do.
So Capcom had a presentation talking about the recently announced Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster.
Yes.
And it's almost damn near like a remake.
Yeah, it looks really good.
They seemingly added completely new character models, overhauled the environments, and added tons of like quality of life and accessibility features, but kept all of the gameplay and most of the animations the same. It releases September 19th. I've never been the biggest Dead Rising fan. I did play the original on 360 years and years ago. And when the third game came out, I did watch a lot of people play that on YouTube.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say I like watching people play Dead Rising. Yeah. Playing it myself is not really.
Specifically, the Rad Brad, I watched him play it, which I think the first game he ever played on his channel was also Dead Rising 2.
Oh wow!
And recently, Kai Cenat turns out he's a decent guy. I remember I used to be a hater because he did like some weird stuff at some point that had everybody going like, "Who's this weirdo?" But he actually is kind of cool, and I can't hate no more. He seems like a cool guy. He played Elden Ring and got so many more people into that game, and because of that, they sent him a life-size Millennia statue, which is insane.
Oh wow!
She's a big person. So that statue is huge. And yeah, he's real cool. And he talked about how like the Rad Brad got him through times like myself, when you're broke, when you're a kid, you ain't got no money, can't afford the games, so you go to YouTube and you watch people play the games. And Rad Brad was that for me, and he played every game that came out, like every year, all the most popular games that came out, he always played them. Before I ever played The Last of Us, I watched him play it, and that is when I cried when I watched him play it, because I can't recreate that moment, so I didn't cry when I finally played it myself. But when I watched him play it and saw that the end of the prologue, I bawled. I was like, oh, this is so sad. But yeah, Rad Brad's good. And Dead Rising always reminds me of him because I watched him play the third one so much. But last but not least for me, I played a couple games, some demos for games that were shown off in Summer Games Fest. I was gonna talk about it last time, but we just had so much to talk about that I was like, we'll talk about it next time. So Enotria, the last song, is a Souls-like set in a world inspired by Italian folklore. The unique gimmick to this game is that you wear and switch between role-altering masks that give you different abilities. But for me, it's just another game in the sea of Souls-likes that doesn't do much to differentiate itself, honestly. Combat, it's too stiff for my taste. You know, like we just talked about, it's not the pinnacle of action combat. It's alright.
Right.
I hope people like it. I hope, I'm not gonna wish downfall in this studio. I hope they do well.
Yeah, it sounds interesting, like concept wise, but it's just not for me.
So Flintlock the Siege at Dawn, I like this a lot more. So you play as Norvanek, an elite member of the Colossian army, joined by Enki, a mysterious fox-like command, in their quest for vengeance against the gods. Your combat skills and traversal capabilities are imbued with his magic, Enki's, and you yourself wield a power strong enough to kill a god, gunpowder. And guns. Use a flintlock pistol alongside an axe that adds a fun little twist to the usual Souls combat. And the game is a lot more traversal heavy than most Souls-likes. And I like that because it reminds me a bit of Castlevania, which we always talk about how Souls-like are the natural progression of the Metroidvania genre into 3D, and Konami needs to be taking advantage of that.
For sure.
And yeah, I like the story.
I would play a Castlevania Souls-like, to be honest.
I would.
Don't like the Souls-like genre.
Yeah, exactly.
I would play a Castlevania.
I feel like that about so many things where it's like, you could take a thing that, not even that I dislike, because I don't dislike Souls-likes, I like Elden Ring. But like, most of them I don't find particularly interesting or fun. But if you take something that I have like I can enjoy under the right circumstances, and you put something that I love on top of it, I'm gonna like it. You take Souls-like and you make it Castlevania, I'm gonna play it to death. Even if it plays like every other Souls-like that ever existed, I'm gonna like it because of the world, the characters, and the atmosphere.
Exactly.
And I always say, like, even though like the most recent Assassin's Creed games, I don't like them, you take it, and if you threw Star Wars on that, I'd be all over it. It could play just like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but Star Wars, and I would love it. But yeah, I like the story and gameplay in this, and it will be on Game Pass later this month, so I'll probably check it out a little bit more. But yeah, still playing Hades 2. I didn't set up top. Good game. I'm gonna be playing that forever because that's just the nature of the game, and it's also not done. So
yeah,
yeah, that's all I got. If you don't have anything,
I have one more thing. I want to talk about Clock Tower briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, So Clock Tower Rewind got a little update trailer thing. It was supposed to come out earlier this year. Now they're aiming for a fall 2024 release. And they talked a little bit more about the development and like what all it entails. They set it up as a remake. It is not a remake, nor is it a remaster. It's a port. It's a port with quality of life improvements, which I have some pretty strong feelings about. It's like if my biggest thing is they're porting it to Steam. The original Clock Tower on the Super Nintendo had mouse support because the Super Nintendo had a mouse peripheral, and it's a point and click. From what I'm hearing, this port of Clock Tower will not have mouse support, which is it's a point and click. Why would you not want to like add mouse support, especially if the original supported it with a peripheral that was like really rare and few and far between? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I remember.
And I see.
Mm-hmm. I remember like you were excited for this because you thought it was like a full-on remake, but it's more of a not even a remaster, but a port that just is making it available to more people to play, which is still cool in its own right.
It's a good thing.
A lot of people just haven't been able to play it for a long time, but you wanted a remake.
I expected more out of it. Yeah, I wanted a remake. And like I don't know, it's just I'm a little disappointed because like they hyped it up. They're like. It was very remake-esque, and then like when they announced it, I think they called it a remake in name, and now they're like, it's a port with quality of life improvements. I'm like, this is not what you promised us. And honestly, as excited as I was for it, if it's more than $20, I'm not gonna get it. Yeah, like if they charge,
if you want potentially like a sequel or like a modern remake or something like that, you gotta support it.
I know, but it's like. I can't justify paying $60.
Oh, if this, there's no way this is gonna be $60. If this is $60, that'd be insane. This is probably gonna be like $20.
Yeah, and it's like 20 is fine. If it's anything above that, like to an unreasonable extent, I don't know. For all that, I might as well just play a fan translation with the like a ROM hack. Honestly.
Yeah,
and it's like they mentioned like they put in a rewind and like save state features, which is fine, I guess, but it's like I don't know. It doesn't interest me. It could have been done better.
I mean, you talked about how it would be cool if they made like a modern like Resident Evil style, not in the sense of like it should play like a Resident Evil, but in the sense of how the leap between the original Resident Evil 2 and the Resident Evil 2 remake is.
Exactly.
That would be really cool. Or even the like Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 1 remake, where the Resident Evil 1 remake that came out on the GameCube in early 2000s was like pretty much it was still fixed camera, but it was all 3D, and it all had at the time the latest graphics. But it was essentially in terms of gameplay in a lot of ways the exact same. So something like that where it's still point and click, but it's like modern visuals.
Yeah. And it's like for a game that revolutionized the horror genre at the time that it came out, I would expect them to treat it with a little bit more respect, honestly. But I mean, I can't.
They just did some weird marketing. Whereas the people working on it, they always knew what they were making. They knew that they were porting it, but whoever was in charge of marketing kind of misrepresented what the game actually was.
For sure. But I'm not fully mad at it because they got Emmy Evans, who does some of the vocal tracks in the Nier Automata soundtrack, and then I can't remember. It's like Mary Elizabeth, the lady who does the Silent Hill vocal soundtracks, and they made a song together for Clock Tower Rewind, which is really exciting. I like both of them. They're both great artists and great singers, so that's one thing to look forward to. And they animated like the beginning cutscene, which I think is actually rather cool. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. And if I come back on the podcast hating, you know that the port was not good.
Yeah, but if it's good, hopefully people buy it and they do something new with the franchise.
I hope so, because I miss Clock Tower. It's a great game. It's a great series.
Yeah. I could always use some more survival horror in my life, even though I'm not the biggest fan of runaway horror. But if it's in a different style, like it's not third person over the shoulder and it's like point and click, I'd probably enjoy that a lot more.
Right.
But yeah, that's all I got. You can find our ads above us. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. They're not below us anymore. They're above us now. You can find my ads above me, Aiara's ad above them. That Musk guy's ad is no longer on the screen anymore. You can just go into the description, and it's just the Mustardcast everywhere. On Instagram, it has underscores On Twitter, I don't think it has underscores. So yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
See ya.